Overwatch 2 has a huge unsolvable problem, and no, I'm not talking about the insatiable greed of the Blizzard executives, although that definitely is a problem. No, I'm talking about how this game has become far too much for itself to handle.
Literally, we played the most dead, non-existent, left-alone game.
And that's the thing, that's what's frustrating though, I agree. I know ABK has the money, but they're not prioritizing it, that's why I'm annoyed.
With everything we've learned about what it takes to operate this game at the level that you deserve, it's clear that we can't deliver on that original vision for PvE that was shown in 2019.
While most first-person shooter games focus on guns that anyone can access regardless of character, every Overwatch character has a unique weapon, playstyle, and limitations. For example, if you put a Reaper against a Widowmaker at a distance, the Widowmaker will win easily because her role is to play far back as a sniper. But at a close range, the Reaper will win easily because his shotguns will allow him to melt through any character at close range. Assuming that both players are at least somewhat proficient with their character, these two situations will always play out that way because those are the roles and the limitations of those characters. No amount of skill is going to change that. This is a big strength for Overwatch because that's part of what makes it stand out, however it also causes problems. If someone really wants to play Reaper but the enemy team goes double sniper, they might be forced to switch to someone else who they don't really want to play, which always sucks. But is that really a big deal? Like, oh no, I might have to play someone else for like 15 minutes, how will I ever get over this? Well, it might not be 15 minutes, it might be 9 weeks, an entire Overwatch season. Okay, maybe that's just a little bit traumatic. Just because your favourite hero is in meta doesn't mean you can't play them at all, and play them well, even against the meta. But I'd be lying if I said that metas don't play a big part in the game. For anyone who doesn't know, the term meta in gaming means the best, so the meta comp is the best comp for the game's current state. So like the GOATS meta was usually Reinhardt, Zarya, D.Va, Lucio, Moira and Brigitte. Yes, you could play whoever you wanted during the GOATS era, but they were nowhere near as good as the GOATS heroes and you'd have a really hard time winning against them. As I'm writing this, Roadhog is very off meta due to his nerfs and currently has a 1.57% pick rate. This is the second lowest of all the tanks, and a win rate of 44.93%, which isn't great. If you're a Hog main, I mean you can play him right now if you want, and I'm sure you can play him well, but he's just really not the best pick. So why doesn't Blizzard just, balance their characters? Well, the problem is that's pretty much impossible. There's such an insane skill difference between all the ranks from Bronze to Grandmaster. For example, if Tracer was given 10 more ammo tomorrow, it probably wouldn't make that much of a difference in lower ranks, to be honest. However, I'd imagine that it would have a huge impact up in Masters and Grandmasters. Or let's take Moira as an example. In low ranks, she is so insanely effective because low rank players won't have the best aim, so the fact that you don't need to aim is a huge advantage and her healing output is so high. Utility like the anti-nade and the Suzu are great and all, but they work much better with players who kind of know what they're doing rather than low rank players who don't really know what they're doing and don't really play as a team. Lower ranks are scattered with Moira players and a lot of people complain that she's overpowered. But if you look at the top 500 players, there isn't a whole lot of Moira play because she's just not as good of a pick in high elo due to her lack of extra and unique utility, which makes her kind of underpowered when compared to the rest of the support roster. With how many variables there are to each character and the difference in how effectively they are used in different ranks, there is no way to have every character properly balanced. If every character was perfectly balanced for Grandmasters, half of the characters would be too hard to play in Gold. And when 32% of the player base is in Gold, the game needs to be playable for that many people. You should probably keep in mind that that number is from 2018, but the current numbers are probably similar enough and the sentiment still stands regardless. There isn't really a fix for this because it's part of the fundamentals of the game. A lot of the game's problems just come from it being what it is. The only way I could think of that would compensate for how batshit insane this game is would be if the game had a more charitable community. Like, Valorant has its balancing issues, but the view of Reddit games is still pretty positive for a lot of reasons. The Overwatch community, on the other hand, has no patience for Blizzard's mess up and limitations with very good reasons. Blizzard has shown itself to be greedy and not care about the power of the game if it can't make them any more money. And if that isn't how the executives at Blizzard feel, they are doing a very bad job at communicating that. This leaves the Blizzard devs with an impossible task that must be completed to keep players even somewhat okay with the state of the game. One thing I want to make very clear is that I do not blame the devs for this mess of a situation. They've been handed a bit of a shit show to work with, and it really seems like they're doing their best for what they have. A lot of people will call the devs lazy and greedy, but I think that's very unfair, and it's much more likely that they care a lot about this game, but they're just at the mercy of the executives of Activision Blizzard. This game simply cannot be perfected, but definitely could be improved by removing Farah.